Hello and welcome to Todd Talk, where insight meets inspiration. I'm your host, Todd Hiller. I'm an author, speaker, and longtime community leader, here to guide you on a journey towards fulfillment and balance. In every episode, we'll explore ways to fill life's emptiness, helping you uncover practical tools to create harmony, purpose, and happiness. Whether it's thriving in your career, nurturing personal growth, or simply finding joy in the everyday, Todd Talk is your space for real conversations and actionable advice. So let's thrive together, personally, professionally, and beyond. This is Todd Talk, and I'm thrilled to have you here.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Todd Talk. Thanks so much for joining me for another episode, and today we're going to talk about being busy and being peaceful and how the two things are related, but how the two things are definitely not the same. If you have followed me or you know anything about me or you're one of my social media followers, you know that I was busy and burned out and overburdened and lots of other things at one point in my life, and really have enjoyed this walking back journey to get myself to a better place in life where I feel happier and less overcommitted and less burned out. And in doing that, I've gotten to a place where I really have looked at what made me busy, what made me feel burned out, but also along those lines, I've looked at what made me feel more peaceful as I've gone forward and kind of walked to a new place in this journey and a new place in my life, just being the person that I am with less commitments. I had a conversation about this with a very good friend of mine, and I am always so thankful for this person's views and outlooks and perspectives. And so we talked about this idea of you are certainly less busy now, but you're not busy, and the difference between how busy and peaceful can relate to each other and what each one looks like, and the idea that you can still be busy, but you can also still find peace within that busyness and feel like your mind and your heart are peaceful and at a place where you're happy, even though you still have a lot of things on your plate. I know that I am still probably busier than some people I know, not as busy as others. I have walked away from a lot of commitments lately. I've walked away from some different town boards, some different committees, some different organizations, and even within some organizations and some things and some groups that I still show up for, I've just changed my role within them. So what I have to bring there or what I have to do there looks a little different. But I'm still pretty busy. I still work full-time. I still work part-time when I teach. I have this podcast. I have speaking that I'm working on and always those opportunities to work with and work through. One of these days, I'm going to get around to finishing editing my second novel. And I still manage the family farm where I grew up. I still have two kids that play sports and have busy schedules that I'm always running back and forth to practices and games to watch them. So I've realized that I'm not necessarily not busy. I still have things in my life that keep me going and keep my calendar with things on it most days. But I realized that along those lines of busy have come this really beautiful sense of peace. Now, when baseball games, softball games for my kids roll around, soccer games, I don't go, oh man, I got to try to find a way to fit this in. I say, yeah, let's go. I'm excited. It's a baseball, softball weekend. I'm going to grab my chair and grab my cup of coffee and go watch their games and have a great time. And so the busy is not what made me, and this might be different for people, but I think very much for a lot of people, the busy is not what makes you feel overwhelmed. Busy and peaceful are internal and external, I think might be a good way to put it. So busy is external. It's a full schedule, multiple commitments, responsibilities, tasks. It's an external thing. If you have kids and you're a parent, you know that they're always going somewhere. You're always driving them from point A to point B, or trying to make sure you're there to school on time and they have their bags and their projects and everything else. So that's busy. It's an external thing. I think peaceful is a state of inner calm and clarity and contentment. And it's an internal realization that even though you are busy and you have a lot of things on your plate, you feel really good about the place you are in your life, and you feel really good about what you are spending your time on. And I think when you find the balance of those two things, it's a really beautiful thing. And it has happened to me the other day, and that's what started this conversation the other day with the very good friend of mine. I just, I said, man, I'm so happy about my schedule lately and about the things I'm putting my energy into these days. And originally I had said, I'm less busy, and that's made me so happy. And this person was like, well, I don't know if you're less busy. Like, you still have a lot going on. But I think a lot of people fall into the trap of, they say, oh, I'm so busy, I must be doing something wrong if I feel this overwhelmed. Well, it's not. You're not doing something wrong if you feel that way. I think you just need to reframe it and think about the difference between peace and busyness. So being busy isn't the enemy. I think it's how we carry that busyness that makes the difference. So you can be busy, you can be involved in lots of things and still have a sense of inner peace and calm because you're really happy about what's in front of you. I'll use a silly food analogy because you guys know me, I love food. If you have lots of things on your plate, so to speak, if in terms of food, someone literally filled up your plate with 5 foods that you really cannot stand, you wouldn't be excited about them at all. You would look at them and say, oh, great. Well, I'm not sure what I'm going to eat. Don't really like any of those things. Not excited about it. I'll just kind of pick away and make sure I have some sustenance, that I don't starve. I'll eat whatever little morsels I can manage. But these 5 things on my plate I really can't stand. I really don't like them. Now, the alternative to that is someone puts your 5 favorite foods on a plate in front of you and sets them down. You are so eager and so happy and so excited. You do a happy little food dance like Winnie the Pooh, and you're like, yes, here comes my favorite foods. I love these. Now, the same is true with the things you spend your time on, your commitments, your organizations, your obligations, your calendar events. If there's things on your calendar and there's things in your day and in your life that you're excited about, it's such a beautiful place to be. I literally get excited. The other day I was like, I was going through my work day and things were winding down, and I had this thought like, oh, tonight's a baseball softball night. Both kids have games. They're at the same field. I'm excited. I love to go watch. I love to watch them play. And so it made me super happy. Now, if you had asked me 3 years ago when I had multiple meetings on the same night, hey, after work today, you have 2 meetings. Are you excited? I would say, nope, I'm not. Those are not my favorite foods that you just shoved on my plate and set down in front of me. Those are things that I'm not excited about, that I don't really find myself all that interested in. So even though they're still there and even though I'm still busy, I don't feel good about them. I'm not excited about them. So along those lines, I think when you look at that, busy is what happens to your calendar. I think peace is what happens to your heart. Yeah, I like that. I'm going to say that again. Busy is what happens to your calendar. Peace is what happens to your heart and to your mind and to your soul, I think. And I'm sure there are some people who are looking at this and might say, well, look, if I was peaceful, I'd have nothing to do. I'd have no job, no obligations, no responsibilities. That would bring me peace. And, well, for some people that might be true, but I think real peace isn't about removing yourself from the busyness of life. It's about moving through life with the right mindset and the right emotional approach and the right emotional resilience. So peace is not the absence of activity. It's the presence of purpose. So if you know, I like that. Peace is not the absence of activity. It's the presence of purpose. If you know what your purpose is, if you know what you love to do, if you know what you feel called and compelled to do on this earth, the reason you are here, if you spend your time on that and use your time to walk through the things that you love doing, for me, it's being a parent. I love being a dad. It is speaking. It is doing this podcast for you all. It is connecting with you all on social media through my spoken words and my written words. It is helping my community. It is being with my family and being with them a lot. Even my extended family, I'm so blessed that they live close by. Those are the things that bring me this beautiful sense of purpose. So spending my time on them makes me so happy. It makes me so peaceful. And even though I may have a lot of things on my calendar every single day, the peace in my mind and the peace in my heart is really just extended through all those activities because they are things that I look forward to and not things that I dread. And let's walk through a few ways to look at this and a few ways to kind of frame this and kind of talk about stress through being busy and less stress through being peaceful and kind of what that looks like. So I think it's not about the number of tasks. It's about the way we think about them. And one of the things I love to talk to people about and speak to people about and work with people on is their mindset and how they view themselves as they move through this world and how they aim their ship and point their ship where they want it to go instead of just kind of drifting around and dealing with what comes their way. So if you feel trapped instead of feeling empowered, that's a really tricky thing that will make you feel stressed. I think that kind of busy brings about a lot of stress, not a lot of peace. So if you feel trapped instead of feeling empowered, flip the situation on its head and look at it from all different angles, the top, the bottom, the left, the right, and look at why you feel trapped. I'm going to say that probably the typical answer, or maybe the most reasonable cause of feeling trapped is because they're things you don't enjoy and you feel like you have no place to move forward with them and be progressive or make any headway or make any progress through them. You just feel like they're these things that are always going to be on your plate. But when you feel empowered, when you feel excited about those things, then you can really kind of push that stress away, because when you feel empowered to do things, you like doing them. I can really do some good if I do this. I can make some great changes if I do this. I can get my life on track if I do this. I can have a great time with my kids and my family if I do this. Take that power and go ahead and use that to kind of walk through the stress or push the stress away and approach it from a different angle. Something else I've talked about before is worrying about what might go wrong instead of focusing on what we control. So often in our lives, we as people put a lot of energy into things we can't control. And I have another episode about this. Like, worrying is not productive. Worrying, and especially worrying about things we can't control. If something happens in your day that you have absolutely no control over, and you can't even control it going forward, it does you a great amount of detriment, both mentally and sometimes physiologically, because we get stressed, and stress does lots of physical things to us, even though we don't realize or recognize it sometimes. But if there's things you can't control, don't give all your energy away to those things. We have lots of stuff during our day to spend our energy on, and that needs our energy, so stop throwing it away by giving it to things that you can't control. Even if you gave every single iota of your energy to something you can't control, if you can't control it, it's never going to change. So you've just wasted all your energy working on a problem that you can't fix and working on something that you can't put back together or change, at least in the moment. And here's another big one. And this was something that it took me a while to learn, but gosh, it feels really good when you figure out how to do this within your own life. And it doesn't have to be immediate, but I want you to work on this. If you're listening and this is resonating with you, pay attention to this one right here, because I think this idea, this thought that just popped into my brain might be the best one on this little list so far. So don't forget to align your tasks with your personal values so you feel like you're serving something external rather than something internal. So let me say that another way. One of the things I think that causes stress is forgetting to align tasks with personal values, so we feel like we're serving something external rather than something internal. I think it makes more sense that way. So that will bring about the stress. If you don't align your calendar and the things you're spending your time and energy on with your own personal values, that's going to bring about stress, and that's going to bring out burnout, and that's going to bring you to a place where you're like, listen, here's my plate with the 5 foods that I hate right in front of me. I don't want to do this anymore. The things in your life that are important to you, your personal values, that's how you should spend your extra time. Now, like I said, I love being a dad. My kids are still fairly young, so that is something that just naturally aligns. That personal value, those things that I love being a father to them. I love being a dad. I love helping them learn and watching them grow. That automatically, naturally lines up. But the other things in my life that I've walked away from, some of them I'm like, man, why am I doing this? Like, this is not something that serves me. This is not something I'm interested in. This is not something I find any deep sense of purpose for. I'm just here because I'm trying to help, and I raised my hand and said, yes, I can help, because nobody else wanted to step up to the plate. But don't let that trap grab you. Don't just say, oh, yes, I'll do it because nobody else wants to. If you don't have any interest in it, and especially if it does not align with what you feel passionate about or what you feel is important and meaningful, don't give away all your energy to that, because then all the things that you do find meaningful and your personal values and your goals, those are just falling by the wayside because they're starving for energy, because you've given all your energy and attention to other things that don't really serve you or serve your sense of purpose. And some of you are probably listening thinking, okay, Todd, well, that's great. I hear you. I want to be more peaceful even though I'm busy. I want to find this place of being peace. I want to find this internal place that I feel really good about. How the heck do I do that? One of the things I will tell you is to anchor yourself in purpose. This is something that I have done, and when I learned what it actually looks like and what it actually feels like, please hear me when I tell you it feels amazing and it feels beautiful. And the simple way you get there is you need to know why you are doing what you're doing. And this is what kind of caused me to have the freedom to walk away from some things in my life, or at least change my role within those specific things, because I think we don't look at why we do things as often as we should. Sometimes we just do them. Oh, yeah, I can do that. I can help. I can be there. I'll be the parent volunteer. I'll be the board member. I'll be the coach. I'll be the whatever it is, the trustee. I'll sit on the board. I'll go to the meeting. I'll take the notes. I'll take the minutes. I'll do the shopping. I'll help with the fundraiser. I'll get the raffle going. Whatever it is, we don't ask why. And asking yourself why you are doing what you're doing can bring you a lot of clarity, for one, and it will also help you find a goal to pull out of those things. So ask yourself why you're doing what you're doing, and that will allow you to find and see that even mundane tasks can feel different when they are tied to a meaningful goal. If you say, hey, why the heck am I showing up to these meetings every week? Or why am I showing up to these meetings every month? Well, if the goal is because you are really interested in your kid's field trip or your kid's fundraiser, and that's what these are all about, then that's awesome. If you show up every single week because they're talking about a new position within your job and you're really interested in this position and you want to gain more information and kind of get a better handle on things, and that's why you're showing up, that's okay. That's awesome. That's your goal. So don't always... Well, put the goal first and then walk through it and say, okay, this is the goal. Here's my why. There's beautiful quotes out there about finding your why. But even in the most mundane tasks, if you know why you're doing what you're doing, it'll help you stay focused on your goal and remember why you signed up in the first place. The other beautiful thing about this is if you think about why you're doing what you're doing, sometimes the answer is, I have no idea why I'm doing this. I don't know why I'm giving my energy to this. I have no interest. There is no long-term goal. And that's where you can make some separation and put some distance between you and that thing. And I know it's hard. I know it's difficult. I know it's tough. Some of you are probably sitting there thinking, but I've done this for 5 years. I've done this forever. I've done this for my whole life thus far. I've done this all the time my kids have been young. I've always been involved in this. That's okay. When it's time to go and it's time to walk away, I want you to push away any feelings of guilt because you are not the only person who can serve this role. There are other people in your organization, other people in your town, other people in your state, other people at your job, whatever it happens to be. You don't need to be the end-all and be-all. Because, I have a whole episode about boundaries too, because one of the reasons that we get so busy, ready for this, is why do we get so busy? If you're nodding along right now and you've heard the other episodes, because we don't set boundaries. I have said before lots of times, I put it up as a quote a self-proclaimed quote of mine in my speeches, in my Instagram story, take your pick. But kindness without boundaries leads to severe burnout and unrealistic expectations, especially from other people. Because if you say yes to every single thing and you have no boundaries, that's the type of busy you will become, where just by the natural order of things, you will say yes to so many things that probably 40% of them scattered within your calendar that you've just agreed to because you have no boundaries are things you really don't like. They're the things on your plate, the foods on your plate that you really can't stand. They're the things you don't want to show up for, the things you don't want to do. But you've ended up involved in them just because you had no boundaries and you had no way to say no. And you just said yep to everything, and then you were left with this place of feeling, well, great. I said yes to so many things, I have absolutely no idea how to pluck out the ones I don't want to do anymore. My advice there circles back to what we just talked about. That first one was anchor yourself in purpose. Figure out why you're doing what you're doing. And if you take a long, hard look and analyze all the things you're spending your time on, I know it might be difficult and it will take a little time, but I promise you can figure out the ones you don't want to do. I promise you can figure out the ones that you don't have your heart in and you don't have your soul in. Just follow your gut and your natural instincts while you're looking through these things and lay them all out and say, okay, these are all the things I'm giving my time to. Which ones make me feel good? Which ones fuel my heart and my soul and set me on fire and make me excited and happy? Which ones serve my purpose and serve my overall goal? Which ones have a clear goal and which ones are just kind of floating out there in space and leaving me tied up and busy all the time? And once you do that, you can get to a place where you can start plucking some off the list. And whatever you do not feel guilty about walking away from something that no longer serves you. And now when you do that, I know it's a daunting task at first, it seems like it. And trust me, please know that I've been there. I have sat there and looked at all the things on my plate. I wrote them all in a list. I wrote them all out on a giant piece of paper, literally. And I looked at them and said, my God, Hiller, what are you doing? Like, look at how many things are on this piece of paper. And I started circling some and crossing some out. And there were arrows and lines and different colored pens. And I literally made this little visual thing. And, something had to go. And once I started, Every single time I stepped away from a commitment, or every single time that I refocused my energy on something, every single time that I said, hey, I can't be the end-all and be-all go-to person for this one thing all the time, but I can still help in some ways. Every time I did that, it gets a little bit easier and a little bit easier. If you're crouched down and you're in the squatting position and somebody piles a whole bucket full of giant rocks on your back, I know it seems really hard to stand up, but every one they take out, even if it's a little one, little by little, it gets a little bit easier to stand up every single time. So do this with your commitments. And if you look back and you want to say, well, okay, how do I figure out if I did it right? How do I figure out if I'm living busy but also living peacefully? This is a great question. Here's some things you can do. If you feel tired, that's okay. When we have busy days, it's okay to feel tired. But I don't want you to feel resentful. I was at a place where I thought that I was always tired. I was not always tired. I was resentful. And yes, I still get tired. Busy days. I worked at the fire school yesterday in an 1,100 degree building where we were doing live fire training. So when I got home, I was tired. That was tired. But burnout and stress are not about energy. They're about capacity. I've said that before too. So there's a difference. But so if it's okay to feel tired, but don't feel resentful. If you get home at the end of the day and you're like, oh my God, I don't even want tomorrow to start. I want today to end because I'm so sick of all these meetings, but I don't even want tomorrow to start because tomorrow I have X, Y, and Z to do after work. Like that's the resentful tired. So you can be tired, but don't be resentful. And if you feel resentful, maybe take some more things off your plate or refocus yourself a little more. The other thing is you look forward to things rather than dreading them. Like I said, baseball and softball, my kids usually they have games on the same night. Sometimes they're at the same field, sometimes they're not. And that's busy. That's some run around. That's some getting from point A to point B. That's leaving work. That's leaving my office. That's meeting people at fields. That's these grandparents are going here. These grandparents are going to this game. I'm going here. We're all going to split up. So each kid has people to cheer for him in the stands. That is busy. And it takes a lot of coordinating. But I look forward to that. Even though it's busy and a little hectic sometimes, I look forward so much to going and sitting at those games. So that's how I know that I'm on the right track. I have that peace in my heart. I have that excitement for all those things. And another thing on tasks in general and like the things in your calendar, if you are living peacefully, even though you're busy, you can still be busy. If you can be interrupted without unraveling and without coming unglued. I was at a point where I had no capacity for anything else to go wrong in my day. Like 3 years ago when I started this whole journey, even 2 years ago, even, any little thing that went wrong, I would start to feel like I was coming unglued. Like, stop telling me things that are wrong. Stop asking me to fix things I don't want to do. Like, this doesn't need to be my problem. I felt like I was going to come unglued because when I'd finally found focus and finally found time to work on something I actually wanted to do, any interruption was like this stark reminder that said, oh, hey, I'm going to distract you from that thing you wanted to do. Ha, you had 5 minutes to do it, and now I'm going to take you away from it. I would feel like I wanted to lose my mind. Please, God, can I just have a half an hour to myself to sleep, to rest, to write, to read, to do yoga, to go to the gym, to work out, to breathe, whatever it was. All that stuff, any little interruption would send me feeling like I was just going to come unraveled and unglued. But the reason was because I had no capacity for anything else to be handed to me or asked of me. When you're busy but peaceful, someone can interrupt you and you can say, oh, what's up? And you can talk to them about it and maybe, give them a solution, then go say, I got to get back to this thing, and then go back to what you're doing. Because when you are peaceful, you're not always on edge that you feel like you're going to just break apart into a billion pieces if someone asks you for something while you're trying to work on something else. And that's also the difference between peacefully busy and burdened and burned out and stressed and busy. See, when you're burdened and burned out and stressed and busy, what you're working on, you only have those little snippets of time to do the things you actually want to do because the rest of your time is spent on things that you don't want to do that you feel like you owe to other people. And that's so you get resentful because you never have time for those things. So any one little interruption in the things you finally are giving yourself time to do makes you so angry because you haven't had time to do that. When you are peacefully busy and you have the time for the things you love and the things you are actually spending your time on that are making you busy align with your values and align with your sense of purpose and align with your heart and they make you happy and excited, if one of those gets interrupted, you can say step away for a minute and then go back to it because you're not starving to do those things you love because you have given yourself time to do them because you are making sure that what you spend your time on is also things that serve your purpose and make you feel good and make you feel connected and make you feel happy and excited, so you're not starving for time to do them, because a lot of the things that you naturally spend time on are the things that make you happy and align with your value. And we're going to close today with, I want to try to frame this for you in a way that is both poetic and helpful. So I think what I want to remind you is that it's not about eliminating busyness. It's about cultivating a heart and a mind that stays at rest even when your hands are full. I like that. Okay? So you want your heart and your mind to feel restful and at peace even if your hands are full. So yes, you can have lots of things to do. Yes, you can have a busy calendar. Yes, you can have a full plate. Yes, you can still teach a class at the gym and go to your kids' sports games and work a full-time job. Absolutely. But make sure the things you're doing and spending your time on while your hands are full make your heart happy. And it's tough at first, like I said, but you can do it. I promise. Take a long look at the things you do and you spend your time on. Analyze the things in your life and then figure out ways to balance the things in your life and then figure out ways to control them going forward. Don't just keep giving in to other things and say yes because I got rid of one commitment, so now I'll say yes to another one. If it doesn't align with your personal values and your goals, it's okay. You don't need to do it. Somebody else certainly can. Because the way you show up for things that you're not actually interested in isn't the best version of you anyway. So when you show up to serve things, remember that peace isn't passive. It's powerful. It's a choice that you make over and over again to serve the things that bring you happiness and bring you peace and live that way. And live that way on purpose. Find things in your life and live in a way that you feel peaceful and happy. And one small caveat, this is something you have to keep working on. This isn't a snap your fingers, hey, look at me, everything is magical. This has been years of progress in my life that I've done this over. It is certainly not a Betty Crocker 15-minute instant recipe, like instant mashed potatoes. This is something you'll have to work on. But keep showing up for yourself. Keep choosing peace. Keep choosing a happy heart. Keep focusing your energy on your goals and the things you find meaningful. And I promise you can get there and you can find ways to stay peaceful, even if you still have a lot of things on your plate. There is a quote I love, and I think we'll close with this. It's often attributed to C.S. Lewis, although I'm not sure if he actually said it. He said, "It's not the load that breaks you down. It's the way you carry it." It's not the load that breaks you down. It's the way you carry it. We are able and capable of carrying heavy things and having full hands and full plates and full calendars. And we are able to still not break down as people if we know how to carry it, if we know how to balance it, if we know how to align our goals and our energy with the things we find meaningful, and if we know how to focus on the things that bring us peace and bring us joy while we're being busy and while we have those full plates. Thank you so much for listening along today. If this has resonated with you or you think there's someone in your life that could benefit from this, please share this episode with them. Before you leave the podcast, please click that follow button and that subscribe button so you can get notifications of when my new episodes come out, and I can count you as a new follower. As always, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you more than I can say, all of your support and all the time you spend listening. Be well. Thank you so much. Thanks for tuning in to Todd Talk. If you've liked what you've heard, please go ahead and subscribe and follow along so you don't miss any updates or new episodes. Thanks very much and enjoy the rest of your day.